Welcome everyone, you're watching Plain Speak with me Shivani Gupta. We are coming to you live from CNN News 18 and Federal Bank Prime Time Studio. One week after the general elections kick-started, the election season is politically charged with Congress's proposal of a caste survey followed by a wealth survey. Now, what has added fuel to that already raging debate is Congress leader Sam Pitroda's endorsement of an inheritance tax like the one in countries like the US. In every rally, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is sharpening his attack on the Grand Old Party, highlighting Congress's dangerous intentions to snatch properties of every Indian through a wealth tax and loot every citizen in life and post-death by talking of this inheritance tax. Now, India did have an inheritance tax which was abolished in 1985 by none other than Congress Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, who came to power in an emotional surge post Mother Indira's assassination. Now, BJP has accused him of doing away with this tax for personal gains alone to save Indira's estate from going to the state. But now, conveniently, their own leaders want to back is the accusation on the Congress. Congress is on the back foot, mind you, unable to comprehensively explain its economic vision, which are reading more left than the left today. But as they point out, inheritance tax is something even BJP leaders have flirted with. Interestingly, we are talking about the economy and economic policies to take the country ahead, which is never a bad thing. So will this debate over wealth and taxes affect the mandate in a big way? Remember, we're talking about this barely hours to go before phase 2 of general elections 2024 polling. And we'll take that question to our guests in just a bit. Now, Prime Minister today put the spotlight on late Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, while the Congress highlighted BJP leaders' statements in the past. So what are those? While the Prime Minister talked about how Rajiv Gandhi scrapped this tax to claim Indira Gandhi's assets, in other words, not for any other benefit but for his own personal benefit, Congress's MP Jairam Ramesh has pointed out how BJP MPs have argued in favor of such a tax in the past. The Prime Minister added that while saving their own assets, the same Congress party now wants to tax your kids. This is his message to the general public. But Ramesh says that Congress has no such plans. Now, Congress may defend this attack now, distancing itself from Sam Pitroda's comments, but it is not as if they have been opposed to this tax either in the past. So let me just break down how many times this has been brought up by none other than Foreign Minister P. Chidambaram, who has pushed for this tax 3 times in UPA 2 alone. In 2011, he talked about reimposing such a tax as a means to boost tax collections. A year later, he again batted for it to reduce inequality. He said the wealth is strengthening in the hands of a few alone. And he proposed it just ahead of 2013 budget, which was the last full-term budget of the UPA, and the government couldn't come to a consensus, so it never really became part of the budget, but certainly then Finance Minister had tried. Similarly, the Congress is also quick to point out how BJP ministers and leaders have batted for such an inheritance tax in the past. In 2018, for example, then Finance Minister Arun Jaitley had talked about how hospitals and universities receive funds and large funds through such a tax in the West. In 2013, Jayant Sinha of the BJP had said for equal opportunities, we need such an estate tax. And BJP IT cell chief Amit Malviya had posted this in 2014 that he is all for the idea of an inheritance tax. Congress claims BJP leaders have done a volte-face and they're now acting as if this is the worst idea on the planet. So take a look just how inheritance tax works as far as some other countries around the world are concerned. Now, in the US, it's actually not a blanket tax. US is a strange country where there are very little federal laws. Actually, the state governments have most of the laws under their control. So this is imposed in 6 states, and 55% of an estate goes to the family while 45% goes to the government. UK, 40% tax on the estate of someone who has died. In Japan, it starts anywhere from 10% but can actually go up as high as 55%. In France, 35 to 60% depending on the relationship of the family member, but spouses and children actually don't attract inheritance tax in France. Similarly, in Finland, the rate is anywhere between 10 to 19%. Again, it depends on the value of the estate that we're talking about and the relationship of the inheritor and the deceased. The big debate that's raging in India, though, is whether you should have a wealth survey, how should wealth be distributed, how should taxes work. All of these issues of economic policy are taking center stage. How will it affect the mandate is the big question we'll take up with our guests in just a bit.
You must leave your wealth for public. Not all of it, half of it.
समय के प्रधानमंत्री श्रीमान राजीव गांधी ने अपनी संपत्ति बचाने के लिए पहले जो इनहेरिटेंस कानून था उसको समाप्त किया। आज फिर सत्ता पाने के लालच में ये लोग वही कानून ज्यादा कड़ाई से वापस लाना चाहते हैं।
2014 और 2019 के बीच में अरुण जेटली जी, जयंत सिन्हा और बीजेपी के कई समर्थक ने विरासत कर का वकालत उन्होंने की।
आम जनता को टैक्स लाद करके तबाह करेंगे, उनकी संपत्तियों को जबरन अपने कब्जे में लेंगे।
We're getting the indication that the BJP is in for a very rude shock. And it's because of their despair, their fear.
Let's go across to our guests joining us. Neeti Jain, spokesperson of the BJP, Sujata Paul of the Congress Party joining us, Suman C. Raman, author, and Abhishek Banerjee, author, columnist, also with us. I do thank you all for your time. Neeti Jain, let me begin with you. You know, the BJP leaders are today acting like inheritance tax is the worst thing, right? But it's not as if your leaders haven't flirted with this idea. So it's very convenient today to act like this is an untouchable idea. No ideas are untouchable. And you know, we should have a more mature debate about what is right, wrong. Sure, you can oppose it today. I'm not saying you can't change your position on this today, but it's not as if your leaders haven't talked about it.
So Shivani, I think the two instances that you've talked about, Arun Jaitley ji had spoken in context of the charities that go to hospitals and universities. And he said that law does not apply to India. It is not existent in India, which is why we don't see that kind of charity. That said, BJP does not have a history of implementing this tax in the name of equality. The Congress Party does. They did introduce the compulsory deposit scheme in 63 and 74. Priyanka Gandhi had said that उनकी दादी ने सोना गिरवी रखा था देश के लिए। उन्होंने अकेले नहीं रखा था, उन्होंने पूरे देश का सोना गिरवी रखवाया था। उनका हो सकता है वापस मिल गया हो, बाकी देश का मिला था या नहीं मिला था वो किसी को पता नहीं है. So this is the problem that the UPA government comes with that baggage of the history that they talk about. It is not the BJP that has been talking about redistribution of wealth. We are not talking about खटाखट सबके accounts में पैसा जाएगा. It is the Congress. We have been asking them कि भैया वो खटाखट जो पैसा जा रहा है वो जा कैसे रहा है? And then their mentor comes up and says, oh, this is the inheritance tax that may or may not be applied. But that is the problem. If you look at this in entirety of the narrative that the Congress Party has been setting, it is worrying. They have the precedents and they have the intention to do this in the future as well, which is what the Congress Party's manifesto and their narrative has been talking about, which is what we are telling the country. It is worrying.
Sujata Paul, the problem is exactly that. The manifesto contains a certain amount of things and then your leaders are adding on top of that manifesto to create fears of exactly what are these Krantikari policies that are going to come into place, to quote Rahul Gandhi. And none of this is actually working in your favor because you're not quite comprehensively explaining what is it that you have in mind. You're skirting around issues, you're flirting with ideas, but not really telling the public what could be in store if they were to vote for you. Isn't it your responsibility, one, to do so clearly when it's an economic policy you're talking about? And secondly, today the Congress is more left than the left. Even the left doesn't openly talk about redistribution or distribution of wealth equally. Certainly not in the way that Rahul Gandhi is.
The fact is that at least you're talking about issues which plague the nation and खटाखट 15 लाख मेरे अकाउंट में नहीं है, खटाखट 16 लाख करोड़ माफ कर दिए गए बड़े बड़े बिजनेसमैन के। लेकिन खटाखट प्राइम मिनिस्टर जो खटाखट बातें कर रहे हैं ना, उन्हें यही नहीं पता कि उनको हमारे स्टार प्रचारक बनना। He has spoken about our manifesto so hugely and so widely that today we know that people are downloading our manifesto like nobody's business and reading it, trying to find out where is it that, what Modi ji said. Now, what is not there, and if he said it, it can't be found. So how is it affecting us? It is affecting us positively because people are coming and reading that when we say Yuva Nyay, we are talking about Pehli Naukri Pakki. That is the apprenticeship, rights that youngsters will get of 1 lakh rupees per year. That means 8,500 rupees per month. They are getting to know that there are 30 lakh jobs which have been kept vacant by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. We will fill it in 1 calendar year. And that is what our youngsters know today. We know that Lakshmi scheme will give our women, the poorest families, one woman will get 8,500 rupees per month. That is 1 lakh rupees. We will make more hostels. This is what people are saying. But when you try,
isn't it amazing that they are talking about the inheritance tax and we are talking about it? Where is it? We never spoke about it. From 1935 to 1985, this estate duty and the wealth tax was there. And when we did away with the estate duty, we did it away when
But why did you do away with it? That is all.
Why are you speaking in between? I didn't speak in between. Why are you so flustered and rattled? When we did it away, why did we do it? Read Mr. V.P. Singh's statement in Parliament. He said that this is harsh on the people of the country and we don't need to have it. So from 1985 to now, why didn't we ever try to get it back? If we really wanted to take everybody,
I just outlined it. I'm sorry, that's false. You did try to bring it back. In government, your finance minister talked about it 3 times.
Hang on. We never brought it back. Don't say that we brought it back.
No, you tried to bring it back. Brought it back or trying to bring it back are 2 different things, ma'am.
Hang on. You know how I'm sure, Shivani, you know how Parliament works and how when issues come, we are debating on them. We never did a one-sided debate like the present government does. Don't listen to anybody.
But you proposed it, you wanted to bring it back. It is because of the opposition.
Let her finish. Neeti, let her finish. I'll come to you.
What is wrong with her? Now, as far as the Congress party stand is, I want to make it clear that we will not get the inheritance tax back. Is that clear?
Okay, great. Great. Jairam Ramesh has also given that clarification. But my question to you was this, and I'll give you 30 seconds to just come on to that question. It's not about your manifesto. Great, people are coming and reading your manifesto all over again because it's so much in news. That's fine. But leaders' comments, particularly Sam Pitroda, Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi type leaders' comments travel far and wide. What they are saying about wealth, about distribution, about Krantikari measures, about who should own what and how much, that is traveling even wider and far.
You know, Shivani, very briefly, go through the manifesto, do a search on the word distribution and do a search on the word redistribution. There is no word like redistribution anywhere in the manifesto.
I know that, but your leaders are not saying that.
No. Sam Pitroda, he lives in the US. He's talking about the US law. He has nothing to do with our law, right? He's not going to be participating. He's not going to be participating in the law making.
What about Priyanka Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi?
Yes, Priyanka Gandhi has also said, "Meri maa ka mangalsutra."
No, Priyanka Gandhi has talked about wealth distribution just like Rahul Gandhi.
What he said, yes. So I tell you, it is all there in the manifesto.
Now it's there in the manifesto. I don't think it's there in the manifesto. How do you plan to distribute wealth? One second, ma'am. Rahul Gandhi said, we will do a financial and institutional survey after a caste survey. We will find out exactly who owns what. एक्सरे हो जाएगा, देश का दूध पानी का पानी हो जाएगा और फिर हम क्रांतिकारी काम करेंगे. क्या क्रांतिकारी काम वो है ये किसी ने बताया नहीं है. प्रियंका गांधी भी कह रही है किसके पास क्या है ये सब पता चल जाएगा. बहुत अच्छी बात है. उसके बाद क्या होगा ये तो बताइए.
बता रही हूँ, सुन लीजिए. हमारे मैनिफेस्टो में लिखा हुआ है कि जो गवर्नमेंट लैंड होगा वो जो है वो डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करा जाएगा गरीबों को.
तो फिर प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी को क्यों सर्वे करना है?
प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी, किसी की प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी नहीं लेने की बात हो रही है. ये कहा जा रहा है कि जो मोनोपोली है देश में उसे खत्म.
कैसे मोनोपोली है? अगर प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी है तो मोनोपोली कैसे है?
बता तो रही हूँ, अगर प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी है तो एक गरीब आदमी ने भी प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी बनाई है, कोई नहीं छीनेगा उसकी प्रॉपर्टी. पहली बात बिल्कुल क्लियर कर रही हूँ. दूसरी बात, अगर मोनोपोली हुई है और जो लॉ में जो नियम है उनको नजरअंदाज करा गया और किसी एक बंदे को बिना टेंडर के कोई कॉन्ट्रैक्ट दे दिया गया तो गलत है ना.
तो उसके लिए फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशंस का सर्वे कराने की क्या जरूरत है? उसके लिए कास्ट सर्वे कराने की क्या जरूरत है?
Because it is very important to understand from 1947 to now which community has managed to progress how much, so that we can make new programs and schemes for the benefit of those people who are still.
उसमें क्रांतिकारी क्या है?
वो क्रांतिकारी है, उसमें
क्यों?
क्रांतिकारी है.
All governments do this. All governments make policies for the backward. इसमें क्रांतिकारी क्या है? क्रांतिकारी का क्या मतलब है इसमें?
पता नहीं. प्रधानमंत्री का तो हर स्कीम पिछले 10 सालों में ऐतिहासिक रहा, हर स्कीम, मगर हमें पता है वो इतिहास के कूड़े के डब्बे में चला गया. लेकिन क्रांतिकारी ये होता है कि हम हिम्मत दिखाएंगे कि हम अपने जितने आज भी गरीब अगर रह गए हैं तो उनको कैसे आगे लाए. और
तो वो तो सब सरकार बोलती है. एक सेकंड रुक जाइए, 1 सेकंड. नीति, I'll give you 30 seconds. 2 of my guests are waiting. 30 seconds to Neeti.
So I honestly feel that the Congress party needs to study their own manifesto because they don't know what is one written in their manifesto, and two, I think Sujata ji is saying not to take seriously whatever their leaders are talking, because anything that they talk that is out of the manifesto is not serious. They don't mean anything that they're saying. Secondly, historically, I think the Congress party has treated this country as their own dharohar. So they use the navy ships for their own vacations. They will take the land from everybody. There was also a land ceiling act that had come earlier as well. The Congress party needs to come out, the khatakhat money that they are sending, the redistribution that they're sending, and their mentor comes out and says that the inheritance tax is something as serious as what had happened in history. So there's nothing that they're saying is not going to happen. There is a precedent and we're looking forward at Congress party doing that. And my last point, madam, you're saying that you will give 8500 rupees to everybody. आप महिलाओं को लाख रुपया साल का देंगी. That is what our government has already done. We have created 1 crore Lakpati Didis, but not by giving them the money, by giving them the opportunity.
Okay, I'll come back to it. I'll come back to both the political representatives in just a bit. 1 second, ma'am, please, patience. Suman C. Raman, the larger question is this: the economic vision that the Congress is outlining, is it helping it or hurting its chances?
Look, before that, I want to make one point clear. The estate duty as it existed then was abolished for one very simple reason, that they were spending more money in administering and collecting this, and the total amount which was collected in the year was 20 crore in 1985. It is on record. In fact, Mr. Vishwanath Pratap Singh, who was then the finance minister, actually read out in parliament saying that in the last year 20 crore was collected and the administrative cost of collecting that was more. And people had found various ways to avoid it and so on. They were.
So it had nothing to do with Indira Gandhi's death?
No. It had nothing to do with Indira Gandhi's property coming.
This
is on record. I don't know where they got this story from.
It was $1,73,000 at that time. That was being transferred.
Okay, Suman.
Whatever I am saying is on record. It is available in the records of the parliament. People can go and look at it. I don't know where the BJP spokesperson is getting all these stories that they wanted to save Indira Gandhi's money.
It's about the timing, isn't it?
I mean,
Sir, they could not have said that.
Neeti, 1 second,
No,
please.
one
Suman
second.
Kanai, please. Yeah, it's about the timing, Suman.
I didn't interrupt her.
Yeah.
The second point is the that the inheritance tax is not going to be implemented should the India Alliance come to power has been categorically clarified by the Congress party yesterday. I don't know why we are going on and on and on about it. In fact, the BJP has to clarify because of what Jayant Sinha has said, what Mr. Amit Malviya has said. So many people from the BJP have been saying that it's a good idea and so on. So I think that they should clarify. Now the Congress party has said they will not implement it.
Okay, but if we look at a sequence of events that have taken place, you have a caste survey demand, cap on reservations to go, Jitni Abadi Utna Haq, you want a financial institution survey, and now there's an inheritance tax being mooted. All of that, is this helping the Congress party win the electorate's confidence?
One second, Shivani. Inheritance tax is not being mooted. It has been categorically ruled out. So we are not going down that route. Let's look at the caste census. We have been giving reservations based on caste for over 50 years. Is it not time to actually find out who is benefiting from this? I mean, should that not be done? In fact, it should be mandatory to have a caste census at least once a decade, like the regular census, to find out who is receiving the fruits of these reservations. I can tell you in my home state, the earlier Backward Classes Commission are on record saying that a small number of communities were garnering the overwhelming majority of benefits of reservation and the majority of communities were not getting the benefits.
Okay, what about the wealth survey?
BCs. Now, of course, it all ties in, Shivani. You need to do a caste census. You need to do a wealth survey of the private sector because you need to know which communities own more wealth, which communities own less wealth. This does not mean you say, I'm going to take away the money from them. No, not at all. You need to know this because you need to know who needs to be helped more.
Okay, so Sumant, as an analyst, what do you think? Okay. All of these economic policies, are they creating fear in the mind of a certain set of voter? Maybe predominantly the middle class that pays most direct taxes in the country? Or is it enthusing the voters, a certain section of the voters to see that, okay, maybe we'll have a more equitable society?
Look, even if it does spread fear, and I agree, it is the purpose of the BJP saying they'll take away your Mangal Sutra and all that is to create that fear. It's very clear. But let's be very clear. That percentage which pays income tax is 3 to 4% of the population. That is not, they may be vocal, they may be the Twitterati, they may be the ones active on social media, they may be the opinion makers, but at the end of the day, they are only a very, very, very small
so they don't matter?
Population. It's not that they don't matter. I didn't say that. The impact that we see on social media or on mainstream television may not necessarily be the impact something like this has on the ground.
Okay.
So my point is, I think that, the Prime Minister has tried to stoke this fear. Your Mangal
I'll tell you why it is overall a little bit more fearful than less fearful. I'll bring Abhishek in on this as well, because it kind of, maybe not for a certain set of generation, including mine, by the way, I'm very much a child of the liberalized India, but in the minds of those who still remember pre-liberalized India, in their minds, these policies almost bring in the Raj culture, right? The government Raj culture or the nationalized culture, and that is what the fear is. You look at the inheritance tax, classic debate. You see a lot of rich people talk about inheritance tax, trust fund kids as they are called, but they actually escape such taxes and the burden falls on the middle to rich category. I'm sure the middle class and the lower middle classes will be exempt from it if it was ever to be applied. But this is all been seen. It has been seen in India, around the world, and it brings us fear of more government and more government control, something that India has moved away from. So in that sense, it almost seems like you're harking back to the past. And that's why the fear.
Yeah, Shivani, it is simple. Put yourself in the shoes of a Congress strategist. Back in the old day, they used to have 350, 400 seats. Now they can barely get 50 seats. So if you are a Congress person, your main aim is to turn the clock back and take it to the 50s, 60s and the 70s. So what was happening? We have to understand how dark those times were. So because of the Congress policies, India didn't have rice. Protesters in Bengal were shot dead by Nehru's police when they asked for rice. But there was no milk in Bengal, so they decided to ban the rasgulla. They said people are eating too much rasgulla. Sumant Raman thinks that only 3% of the population will be affected. When they ban the rasgulla, I think more than 3% of the population will be affected. Then the Indira Gandhi Manmohan Singh team, they come together, they raise the top tax rate to 97%, they snatch the savings of the middle class in compulsory deposit, they kick out all the foreign companies from India, and then what they do, they nationalize the wheat, the distribution of wheat. So now there is no milk, there's no wheat, there's no rice, and now you can go check this. So what happens is that the inflation rises to 29% inflation. The GDP growth falls to 1%. This is 1974. And so everybody is protesting on the streets because they have not eaten in 3 days. And so what does Indira Gandhi do? She brings the emergency. This is the real reason for the emergency. And so people who think that 3 or 4% of the people will be affected, so when they take away, so this is how democracy actually dies. Democracy dies from hard socialism, and it is in that era we have to understand some very simple figure. When India became independent, our per capita GDP was 18% of the whole world. By 1991, after 40 years of Nehruvian socialism, our per capita GDP dropped to 6% of the world. So in 40 years, while Congress had a near monopoly with hard-left socialist policies, India became 3 times poorer. But if you are a Congress strategist, those are your glory days. Those are your true achhe din. And you want to turn the clock back and go back to that era.
Abhishek, out of all of these things that you're outlining, the bigger question is, on the eve of phase 2 polling, how many people will be actually voting on this issue, you think? Will it truly affect mandate, or these are great TV debates?
I think honestly, at the moment, because the election is so close by, it might be a little too late. But I have to point something out that, redistributive economics, it's very bad for a country, but it's a genius election winning strategy. In 1961, West Bengal was the richest state in India. Today, it's probably not even in the top 15 or 20. That's what the communist hard-left economists did in West Bengal. But you see, the communists ruled Bengal for over 30 years. So it's a genius election-winning strategy, redistribution. But it destroys the country and it takes away democracy. Both are facts.
Sujata Paul, you wanted to come in? How is the Congress party going to defend harking to practices that we've done away with?
We've done away with, and we are sticking to it. It is Prime Minister Modi who has to answer for Arun Jaitley and Jayant Sinha, who is not contesting. One is no more. Now, in 1970,
जवाब दे दीजिए मैडम about Chidambaram, about Sam Pitroda. Why don't you answer yours? I will answer mine.
You've given your job to her. Okay, in 1970, Indira Gandhi donated her ancestral property once, so she didn't have anything that she needed to save. But and point number 8 in our manifesto under equity says, and I quote, the scope of the public procurement policy will be expanded to award more public works contracts to contractors belonging to various communities. And the 7th point, Congress will establish an authority to monitor the distribution. This is the only time the word distribution has come. Distribution to the poor of government land and surplus land under the Land Ceilings Act. Is that clear? Or maybe it isn't. But when
are you asking us to not take Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi seriously?
Why are you? I am talking about the manifesto.
Are you asking us to not take Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi seriously, Sujata ji?
He has said clearly, while the yield from estate duty is only about ₹20 crores, its cost of administration is relatively high. I therefore propose to abolish the levy of estate duty in respect of estates passed or deaths occurring in or after 16 March 1985. I will come forward in due course with suitable legislation for this purpose. And we did. So that's for that. And GST to आटा, दूध, दही, पनीर, छाछ पे तो भाजपा ने लगाया. अगर वोट मांगने हैं तो GST पे मांगो. अगर वोट मांगने हैं तो नोटबंदी पे मांगो. प्रधानमंत्री is a pure mongo. He's following the Muslim घुसपैठ यार.
Ma'am, we have already gone to elections after all of that.
Yeah, GST has already been voted upon. If elections were to be a referendum on GST, we've had that referendum in 2019. But I want to move, ahead from that. The issue is whether the Congress's messaging is confused, whether it gets sidetracked, not by what its manifesto is saying, but what its leaders are saying. And I think that is something the Congress party should do some introspection on. Niti, final 30 seconds.
I just want to say that what you said last. I think the Congress party is confused within themselves, and obviously the people are confused. One, because of their non-existence alliance, they don't know what is happening on the ground. Second, their manifesto says one thing, their leaders say another thing, and there's no correlation between the two. Madam is saying that we should just read about what the manifesto says. By the way, it also says they will strengthen the personal laws rather than the constitution. But then you're saying don't take our leaders seriously. So that's okay. I don't think the Janta is anyway taking them seriously.
No, I think
but
even
for a
within the Congress
spokesperson-
party, let me bring in Sumant Raman on this. Even within the Congress party, there is a definite unease with some of the things leaders like Rahul Gandhi are espousing. I'll give you a direct example. I spoke to Shashi Tharoor just 2 days ago, right, in Trivandrum. And I asked him about Jitni Abadi Utna Haq. What does he make of that slogan? And Shashi Tharoor very categorically said, we don't agree with this. If numbers were to decide everything, people in South India are going to be disadvantaged than those in the North. And this statement should not be made, and we shouldn't translate this into policy. And that message reached Rahul Gandhi too. He's saying this. So my point is there are a lot of things being said, and which is why it is also, argued that Rahul Gandhi's policies and vision are not in consonance with his own party. He speaks ultra-left while the Congress is uncomfortable with that public stance.
Look, Shivani, the first thing we have to understand is Rahul Gandhi is not the supremo of the Congress party in the manner that Mr. Modi is in the BJP.
That's not the point,
He is
Sumant.
not.
You and I
That
both
is the
know
point.
that his
He
word
does
is
not
the most
know.
important word today in Congress
Not
party.
at all. Where did you get this idea? Where did you get this
He's
idea?
not the
Maybe
biggest
10
leader
years
of the
ago.
Congress.
He is certainly not. This is the
But who
10-year-old dialogue that you're giving. In 2014, he was.
Why is he
To a
helping the
lesser
Bharat
extent
Jodo
in
Yatra
2019.
if he's not the biggest
He is-
leader of the Congress party?
Look, he is an important leader of the Congress party, and he brings with him the Gandhi family tag, which appeals to voters across the country. But this is the Congress party has for 50 years, they've had a left wing in it, they've had a center wing in it, they've had a right wing in it. It's been there. This is a party that debates often to the extent of it being called dissent, where people, take pot shots at each other all the time. So that's something that's part of the tradition.
Okay.
But the point is,
But I
if
think
you
all these
think
three
One by
sections
one,
are not
Rahul
Rahul Gandhi's
communicating these
statement
days.
is the final word for the Congress party.
No, it
I'm
may
sorry,
not be.
that
That's
is
not what I'm
the
saying
case.
at all. I'm talking about the public messaging. And I'll give Abhishek, who raised his hand, for 30 seconds on that.
Yeah, I just wanted to put one small thing about this Jitni Abadi Utna Haq. In 2013, the Raghuram Rajan committee submitted a report about devolving funds to states, and one of the things they wanted to do was cut funds to Kerala by 85% and to Tamil Nadu by 50%. So people should keep that in mind when they talk about Jitni Abadi Utna Haq. So this was the idea in 2013. The report is signed by Raghuram Rajan and submitted to P. Chidambaram.
Yeah. Well, there are a whole host of issues with what is said publicly versus what is being written on paper. But I think we'll continue that as we go along in these elections. Only phase 2, mind you, coming up just yet.